okay, it's time to introduce this next collab of this year's Syposium, Poor Understanding 2019. The next guys who are coming on stage, they are super cool bartenders, and they are a great example of what bartenders can achieve, what bartenders can do when they're not afraid to do new things, follow their dreams, and when they are not afraid to branch out of bartending. Big round of applause from Martin from Zazracna.
Hi, how are you doing? So I'm Martin, and I'm a co-founder and co-owner of a company that most of you have probably a very hard time pronouncing. It's Zazracna, and that can be loosely translated as miraculous. So I'm here to tell you what the miracle is all about. Well, to put it simply, we're a Czech-based company that makes soda drinks. That's it. We make natural sodas from all natural ingredients. We don't use any additives, any colorants, or none of that stuff. Yeah, and we focus on strong flavors. Yeah, really something that grabs you by the hair and that really stays in your mind. Well, these pictures here are just illustrative. They have nothing to do with the presentation whatsoever, apart from the soda being there, so just that you know. Well, apart from strong flavors, what we focus on is really unusual flavors, yeah? So, we hope to give you a sensation of something you've never tried before, or you have tried it, but never in a liquid form. For instance, we got poppy seed soda, or celery soda, or even soda made from oak and birch. So really, that's what makes me happy. But I think that in today's day and age, having a great tasting natural product, that's just not gonna cut it anymore. So rather than about the product, I would love to talk to you here about the process, which I think is quite unique. What I mean is we own the whole production process. From the start, from the research and development, from, I don't know, graphic design of the labelers, all the way to the actual production. We get our own small factory, and I mean really small factory, where we bottle everything ourselves. And what this allows us to do is we're able to make custom-made soda. And what I mean is we're not just slapping your logo on a label and calling it a day. No, I'm talking here about getting ready entire new product. Yeah, from ground up product that accurately describes you or your business. How does it work? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's the thing is, if you come to me, say you come to me and say, Martin, I really loved it. I would like you to make me my soda. How does it work? Well, first thing we need to do is we need to come to your venue, to your bar, your bistro, your restaurant, whatever you have, and we need to see and find what's so special about it. Why does people love it? Why you love it? Why you do it? And once we know all these things, we can look ourselves in our lab for some time, and hopefully, after this process, we get accurate description of you or your product in a liquid form. Now, a while ago, when I was thinking about giving this presentation, I was like, I felt that demonstration is in order. And that's what I did, and that's what I'm hoping to do right now. Because some time ago I took a gamble, and I picked one of you that are here today, and I hope that person would be here today, which he is. And I made the product in his image. Yeah? So I did my fair share of internet stalking. I learned about this person. And I made a lemonade and I got it right here. One box of custom-made lemonade, only 12 bottles of this. Would you like to know who these are for? Okay, so I'm proud to present to you this basil soda, which we call the Levenbändiger, which is lion tamer, and they are, of course, for York Mayor. If I'm not mistaken, you're right over there. So, so these are for you. I hope you like them. We come up with them with my friends.
To be honest, we have to drink it now because I have only hand luggage and I have to fly in half an hour.
You know what? They go really well with the gin.
Yeah, if somebody has a gin, you can join me. We drink it now. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Levenbändiger.
So that's exactly what we do. Thank you. So lastly, I would like to talk about the soda that you've been distributed. Yeah, that's our newest love. It's basically a coffee soda with a real specialty coffee with some Palo Santo wood and bananas thrown in the mix. Yeah, so I think it's really delicious, but what do I know? You tell me if you like it. Anyway, if you have any questions, come find me. I'll be here. Come to say hi. Thank you so much for your attention. And I've been Martin from Zazracna. Thank you.
So much. Hopefully, Jörg will share with all of us.
I try to.
Our next talk is co-hosted with Distill Venture, and our next speakers have run the world's largest drinks event now for 10 years, and as that have some numbers, some secrets, and some statistics they would like to share with you. Please welcome to the stage Hannah Sharman-Cox and Siobhan Payne.
Yes, there we are. Hello, everybody. Can you hear okay? Yes. So first off, it is such a pleasure to be speaking at the Port Symposium. It's our first time doing so. For those that don't know, my name is Hannah Sharman-Cox, and this is my colleague, my
esteemed colleague.
Yeah, she told me this earlier. Esteemed colleague and partner in crime of all time, Siobhan Payne. And together we are the founders and the owners of Drink Up London. And Drink Up London is an umbrella term for all the events that we run here in London. Most famously, as Monica said, London Cocktail Week. Yes. Apologies for being probably the least exotic guests you're going to have today. We came all the way from West London.
It was really hot on the tube.
It was really hot. But sorry for not flying in quite so far as everybody else. And while many of you might know us, and if we're lucky enough, you might have been involved in our festivals, which would be fantastic, we've actually never stood up on stage and chatted through what we've been working on behind the scenes for the last 10 years. So we hope that what we've got to share with you is interesting. So, just as a little bit of background, we hold a very privileged position. We have been in the heart of the industry between us now for nearly 30 years. And we are extremely hands-on with our own business, working either behind the bar, front of the house, whatnot. But we're also right in the middle of the consumer sphere. We've built our successful business proposition around consumer-facing festivals, which is the kind of the biggest point of difference from the other cocktail weeks around the world. And our website is a lifestyle website, which shows people where to drink, what to drink when you're there, and then on top of that, a list of the best events in London.
Yeah, so our award-winning festival, London Cocktail Week, as we mentioned before, it's now in its 10th year. And we say it's the biggest festival of its kind in the world. And the reason why we say this is because not only do we attract 25,000 consumers every year, but it's also one of the most globally attended trade events as well. As such, we truly believe that we're the conduit between these two worlds. We see our industry from both sides of the bar. We see the cocktails as they're being created, but we also see what the consumers are drinking en masse. And because of London Cocktail Week, we have collated 10 years of data around what our 350 bar partners are serving as their signature serve. So that is what they believe is the best representation for their bar that year. But at the same time, we're seeing what consumers are actually opting for throughout the week. So, the drinking trends of real people in real time over the last decade.
So we were invited, when we spoke with Monica, we were invited here to talk about trends and have a conversation about what this data is and how it can help you guys day to day in the bar, and pick apart what you think is happening your side, but what we see is happening on the other side. So just to start this off, we want to talk about understanding your audience. Now, I think we're all guilty of this. We tend to see them and us, with us and the consumer. We're clever, they're the other side of the bar. Two categories. It's kind of not terribly fair. And so we wanted to show you how we break our categories of audience down, and it's going to become clear why this is really important as we go through.
Yes. So this is the pyramid that we created years ago, and we named the groups. And this is what we hope to keep us focused. It underpins everything that we do, especially when we're creating new events and experiences. So I'm just going to quickly talk you through these different layers of the pyramid. So at the top, we have our original thinkers, and that's a lot of people in this room. These are the world leaders, the original thinkers, the people here, and these are the people that are creating products or flavours or ways of working or ways of thinking and really pushing the industry forward. So the level 2, again, a lot of the people in this room, these are the career bartenders. These are people that their work is their passion. It's not just a Saturday job, this is their career, this is their craft. And also in this layer, we put the barflies. Now, barflies, they're, to all intents and purposes, regular people. They've got normal jobs, but they've got a really intense passion, almost verging on obsessive passion for the drinks industry and for drinking.
And whether you love or hate these people when they're sat the wrong side of your bar, I think we all know, we can all name some of them, but actually when it is that much of a passion, I think we need to put them and take them very seriously and put them in this second tier, so just to caveat.
The third tier down is the discerning drinkers. These are also regular people, and these are people that are making conscious decisions about what they're drinking and the quality of where they're drinking it. They seek out new experiences regularly, and this is the tier we're kind of aiming for in our bars, right? And then down at the bottom, we've got the mass consumers. So these are people that they like a drink, but they're not necessarily making conscious decisions every time they go to the bar. And on the whole, they just like the effects of alcohol.
So, obviously this is a generalisation, but go with it for now. Firstly, obviously people can move. The occasion, the guest you're with, the bar you're sat in, it might influence your drinks choice, but we have to understand as an industry that what we should be doing is moving people up this pyramid as often as humanly possible. We were, just so we're clear, asked to be provocative, so what we should just say is that moving people down a tier is also a terrible plan, and overwhelming or alienating guests with too much information or too many questions at the point of the bar sometimes, as we probably all know, leads those tier 3 discerning drinkers to make a panic decision. Just press the wrong button.
Giving it away.
I'm giving it away. It makes them make a snap decision at the bar and might just order a gin and tonic, which is a waste and a shame, and that's what we're trying to get away from. So, as Siobhan said, we think, and we're aiming for discerning drinkers, and I'm sure most of you guys are as well. We'd love to think that all 25,000 guests at London Cocktail Week were coming in strong at level 3. We run citywide, week-long drinks offers, so we can't pretend that we haven't got some people coming to our festival who literally just want a bargain, which is cool, because what that gives us is an unprecedented look at all 4 tiers. And we know that with some inclusivity and some education, our guests come away knowing a tiny little bit about a spirit or a brand or a cocktail or a way of serving a drink that might then they might take that forward the next time they order a drink, and suddenly tier 4 becomes tier 3, which is everything that we're aiming for.
Yeah, so let's just bring it back to the topic for a moment. So how does this pyramid relate to trends? Well, in our view, and what we're hopefully going to demonstrate today, is that when we as an industry in the top 2 tiers of the pyramid talk to each other and the press about upcoming trends, we tend to forget about the levels below. We reaffirm our own ideas, we're really good at doing this, I'm sure you're all aware, on a micro trend level, and perhaps forget what the word trend actually means. We talk about mead, we talk about cremant, we talk about bitter aperitivos, but actually in the UK right now the #1 selling cocktail is a porn star martini. So what are we saying here?
Delicious.
Well, clearly there's a disparity between what we are saying and what's actually happening on a grand scale.
So we need an example. So to pick apart what we're trying to talk about.
In not much time.
In not very much time. Keep talking. What we want to talk about is one example. So to focus the mind. So we looked through the press. We looked through the consumer press. We looked through the trade press. We looked through what our peers were talking about on their social media platforms, just as relevant these days as actual publications. And the thing that we could not come away from, the drink of actually 2018 and now cited as 2019, was rum, according to pretty much everybody. So here are some super quick stats, which I'm going to be very quick through. A spirit on a mighty march. That was the Telegraph. So that's not an on-trade publication. We're talking to normal people at this point. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to whiz through. You can see them on the screen.
Yeah. So obviously some quite punchy headlines there, some quite sensationalist talk, and these must have come from somewhere, right? And yeah, I mean, there's definitely stats to back up the fact that premium rum is a category in growth. I'm just going to pull some out. So the WSDA, and that's the Wine and Spirit Trade Association in the UK, recently published findings that in 2018, sales were on the rise, with 35 million bottles sold worth just over £1 billion. It's quite a lot. And over the last 5 years, there's been a rise of 38% in the value of the rum market. Just a couple more stats. In 2009, there were less than 100 different rum SKUs available through Speciality Drinks, which is an on-trade distributor here in the UK, to 650 today. And in brand terms, according to the WSDA, let's go from before, in 2006, there were 50 rum brands available in the UK, but today there's more than 200. So yeah, so it's pretty strong, right? It's like, correct. But actually, let's look a little bit closer at these figures. So let's look at the market growth stat, because that's the one that they're all banging on about. Whilst it's true that value has increased by 38% over 5 years, volume is only 18% increase, which also sounds kind of good, right? But let's compare it to the fact that cocktail sales in the UK are up 10% just this year. 18% over 5 years is maybe not quite as good. So what we're saying, what we think is that actually this growth is just showing premiumisation in the top 2 levels, and that we're yet to kind of hit that mainstream.
And we have some anecdotal evidence. So we at Drink Up London run a thing called the cocktail experiments. We specifically target this for our discerning drinker tier. And we invite them in to learn how to make a drink, taste the base ingredients that make up a classic cocktail, pick their favourite, make their drink. Super simple. For what it's worth, to caveat this, we run a daiquiri experiment as part of this, and they are the most difficult tickets to sell, just so we're clear, of these experiments. We also run old-fashioned Negroni espresso martini. We put 6 runs in front of them, and they range from Bacardi Carta Blanca right through to Richard Seale's Veritas, and an unbelievable number of our guests have not heard of most of half of these runs that they're tasting. Now for us, this is brilliant news. We set out to hit the tier 3, we set out to educate them, and we set out so that they would order better the next time they go to the bar. But that's 6 rums. It's not 650 SKUs that Siobhan just talked about. So where on earth are all these other rums sitting?
Just a little bit more data for you, because I don't know if you've gathered, we're complete geeks and we love data. We feel so strongly about understanding our audience that we've also just undergone an 18-month research project with a company called CGA, and they're leaders in market research.
We love data.
Love it. So we one-on-one interviewed 100 of London's top bar owners, and we also interviewed a cross-section of our own database of about 30,000 on Drink Up London, so that's consumers. And I just wanted to pick out a couple of little bits of data that kind of undermine this mighty march that the Telegraph is talking about rum's having. So first, on a menu averaging 21 cocktails, only 12% of them contain rum. That's 2.5 cocktails, and it's the second lowest spirit category after tequila. The biggest growing category since 2018 is actually American whiskey, with 31% of our discerning drinkers consuming more whiskey than they did last year. And a third stat, and this isn't going to surprise you, 1 in 4 of our discerning drinkers quoted a gin and tonic as their current favourite drink. Now, just to add to this, anecdotally, during our festival in 2018 in London Cocktail Week, the bars serving rum within their signature serves were actually the least visited across the whole festival, and the number 1 cocktail of the festival was an espresso martini.
So we're pretty clear it doesn't match the headlines. We're saying it's a trend, we're saying it's a trend, everybody's saying it's a trend, kind of it's not really stacking up with our bottom of the pyramid. However, it's not bad news. Right, there are the good stats are there. We're going to bring it back in case anyone here works in rum and is going to lynch us later. So you guys are experimenting more with niche rums. We know that for a fact. Our barflies are trading out their scotch for sipping rum. Amazing. But like we say, what about this bottom end of the triangle? These bottom 2 tiers that we are just not listening to. We've proven even the discerning drinkers en masse are not even ready for this trend. So why are we calling it a trend? Why are we not changing the language? Why are we alienating our bottom 2 tiers from what we're saying over here to what they think is actually happening over here? I haven't finished. Sorry. Change is coming. Thank you. Change is coming. We do know change is coming because, it's back to data. We know what's happening and we know how long it's going to take. We know that rum is making all the right signs to trickle down this triangle, right? We know it's there. How long does this journey take? Can we plan for it? Why are we not being smart and talking about it more and understanding it more?
Yeah, so looking at timings and based on a number of drinks trends that Hannah and I have been tracking over the last 10 years, we would confidently say that the journey from prediction to trend prediction right down to it being a mass trend, if it eventually gets there, is around 7 years. So I just wanted to pick out an example of this. So taking the gin category, we saw similar sensationalist headlines. I mean, you could just switch the words in 2010 around gin. It was the next big thing, Mother's Ruin. By 2011, it wasn't kind of translating, and everyone was like, oh no, it's lame, no, it's not true, it's not actually a trend. We actually found a quote here. Someone from Euromonitor at the time, he said, "Gin has failed to capture the imagination of the country's emerging younger drinkers due to its lack of fashionable associations." That's in 2011.
How embarrassing for a drinks analyst in 2011.
Well, indeed, because here we are today, and I mean, there's no question that gin is a big trend. It's a mass trend. We've all seen the craft gin menus at our local pub. We've got really, really normal people coming in and asking for really specific garnishes way beyond a slice of cucumber. And I mean, some of our consumers even know the glassware name. And so what does this mean? Well, importantly, it means that an enormous number of tier 4 consumers are actually sitting in tier 3 when it comes to gin. This is fantastic for all of us. The message has gone viral. But we have to remember that took time. It took time from when we started saying as an industry that it was a trend to when it actually genuinely was popping up on those local pub menus.
And just really quickly to back that up with a second stat so you don't think that we're just talking about gin. As Siobhan said earlier about American whiskey, we've got exactly the same timeline happening. 2011, the consumer press went bananas for small brown drinks. They did that to conveniently coincide with the UK launch of Mad Men over here. Very trendy, lots of nice lifestyle pieces. However, we've just, as Siobhan's just said, it took until 2018 for that CGA data to back it up that more people are now drinking American whiskey than they were before. So there's obviously a time difference between this big headline over here and the mass market over here. But why is there a problem, and why does this discrepancy over the word trend actually matter?
Well, we think that when the conversation focuses on trends that are apparent only in our own bubble, we've lost sight of what's actually happening down there in those lower tiers. And for our business, for all of our businesses, we think that's actually a bit of a problem. What we think is that we should be planning for the 7-year journey after something has been cited as the drinks trend of the year, and better still, working together to reduce that length of time. And the exciting thing is that we're all sitting here today, we obviously all care, and we have the ability to speed this process up. But we can only do this if we have more meaningful conversations around drinks trends. And we've got to understand that just because something shifts up in our own tiers, that it's just the start of the story and that there's actually quite a lot more work to do in order to push it down the triangle. Because ultimately, the more discerning drinkers there are across more categories, the better for us all. And in fact, we think that the discerning drinker tier 3 level should eventually be bigger than the mass consumer level, and we should be looking at a diamond instead of a triangle.
The slide's not there. It was a slide. There's a slide. Okay, here's the final call to arms, friends. As the original thinkers, it is your responsibility to make change happen. We are not for a minute standing up here saying you shouldn't be pushing boundaries, that you shouldn't be creating, you shouldn't be dreaming bigger. But we are all guilty of forgetting that this is just the start of the conversation. We're not acknowledging that what we refer to as a trend won't truly be trendy for years to come, and 7 years is too long to wait for those 650 rum SKUs to be commercially beneficial to your business. We all have to work smarter, we have to work faster, we have to work together. Siobhan and I are not here with the answers, delighted to say. We're just here to start the conversation. It's vital that we acknowledge we need to look outside of our businesses and our bars and often our capital cities and make what we do more relevant for more people more of the time. Should we be changing the terminology? Does the word trend even fit the bill when we're talking about consumer and trade? Should we change the way we speak to our guests? Should we change the way that we list in our menus? If you're not yet in that position to change those menus, you certainly will be soon. And if it's not your position yet, should you be challenging your management to start that conversation and think more broadly? And for those of us that have the very privileged opportunity to speak to the press, we should be really challenging the fact that really January 1st is the only time that people come to us and ask us what our predictions are going to be. It's not in, we have to be more mindful, of the time when these articles are actually hitting the internet, and we have to give these articles some kind of parameters to make them actually relevant to the people that actually matter. Ultimately, we all need to do everything in our power to turn micro trend predictions into macro trends on a much shorter timeline in a more inclusive way, so that we can all enjoy the benefits of more people drinking better.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's time for porn-style martinis. No, I'm kidding. Almost. So our next collaboration is by Compte de Grasse. So looking at innovation through distillation. Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. My name is Marianne Contamin, and I'm the Master Scientist and Innovator at Compte de Grasse. First of all, I would like to thank Alex and the whole team at POR for inviting us to collaborate today. It's been a very inspiring symposium, so thank you. I'm very happy to be here today, even though I'm a bit impressed. I will give you some bit of background about Compte de Grasse. So we were founded in 2017, and our home is on the picture here. It's the building with the big chimney, and it's actually the 19th century perfume distillery of Roure Bertrand and Fils, located in Grasse in the south of France. We've been renovating the building, and transforming it into a hub of innovation to create luxury spirits. Of course, we've been very much influenced by all the heritage of the perfume industry in Grasse, and also by all the wonderful fragrant botanicals that we can source locally. Today, we go to the fun part of it, which is the liquid we created for you today. When we thought about the theme of the symposium, awareness and understanding, we thought we would do a seasonal twist to our gin. And we decided to pick up the iconic fruit, which is the bitter orange tree, which is an ingredient which was very important to us and which will allow us to demonstrate the way we source sustainably, and also the way we can use our different processes to extract flavors to make delicious liquids. But you can say, but why bitter oranges still? Well, because this tree is really iconic in Grasse. It's very famous, it's local. It's been cultivated in the area since the 17th century. And our oranges are actually harvested and processed in Grasse by an association called Renouer, which is much involved in a sustainable and social economy. It's also a seasonal fruit. The trees are blossoming in April, May in Grasse, so that's the high season. And we can harvest at the same time fruit and flowers at this time of the year. So it was very nice for us. No, that's the other way around. Oops, sorry. So if we talk about understanding the different parts of the bitter orange tree, we can, I think you all know that each part can provide different extracts, very flavorful extracts. First, you've got the oil that can be cold pressed from the peel, but you also can steam distillate the twigs and the leaves, and you will end up getting an essential oil of the so-called petit grain, as we call it in French. And also, of course, the flowers can provide also an essential oil, which is called neroli, very famous in perfumes, and an hydrolate, which is traditionally used in cakes and pastries in Provence. So, understanding our processes, we thought how we can play around with our processes to get the best of each part of the tree. Ooh. That's not working. Yeah. So, first of all, because it's a twist to our gin, the 44° North, so we thought we will use as a base the standard botanical blend that we're using and that we are distilling under vacuum in a rotovap, and which contains already bitter orange peel. But together, to build up flavor layers on this standard blend, we decided to gently macerate the flowers with ultrasounds. It's a quick way to extract flavor components at low temperature. It's a physical process as well, so it won't damage the very fragile flowers, and it will preserve its subtle and fresh tonalities. And the other idea was to give it a twist to the orange peel. So we thought, okay, we will try to concentrate its flavors and also bring another dimension, which will be brought by the twigs and leaves. So we decided to do an hydrodistillation of the peel with a bigger amount of pith, the white part, which is actually giving some fresh and aldehydic notes to the liquid as well, together with twigs and leaves. And so we could get this earthy and green character we were aiming at. Oh, it's the other way around, sorry. Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's what you can see here. And at the end of the day, we blend all those three liquids together in special secret proportions, and we end up with an accord which is really shiny and refreshing, but very surprising as well. And it was a way for us, we had the feeling that it was pulling the whole food together, but in a more reinvented way. So you might have the liquid now in your hands. So we'll be going through understanding the flavor of it with the top notes. So what you will smell on the glass, and at the first part of the evaluation, you will be hit by the freshness of the neroli and also of the pith, which is actually enhanced by the fruitiness of seasonal rose water, because that's also the high season for roses in Grasse, and it was a pity not to use this seasonal product, and which is also local, and which will mingle very well actually with the fruitiness of the bitter orange. In the middle note, you will still get the neroli infusing gently with more sweet notes and floral tonalities, and then the earthy character and the green character of the petit grain is revealed. Maybe you can taste it. And of course, you still have the steady body of our junipers, the local one, the cat, and the more common one, the common juniper. And at the end, you may still feel a bit of the neroli infusing through and mingling gently with the warm and marmalade notes of the bitter orange peel. If we talk about only taste, so what's happening on the tongue, the liquid might be slightly bitter and with a gourmand finish. And this finish is really brought both by the flowers and also by the honey we are putting in our blend to make the gin. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy creating it for you today, because to follow up with what my Italian colleagues said, making love is important, but making things with love and passion might be even more important. Thank you. Merci.